Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's conversation with my friends Dan and Claudia Zanes. I'm Sonia de los Santos, and um, I am really happy to be here today. And thank you, WMI, for giving me the chance to interview Dan and Claudia and just giving me a perfect excuse to catch up with my friends who I haven't seen in a long time. So, yeah. Uh, Brian mentioned that I used to play in Dan's band, and that's right. Dan and I go way back. We met in the year 2007, uh, a
Yes.
while ago. And at that time, I auditioned to be part of his band. Can you believe it? That so much time has passed, and that landed me the best job in the world, and I got to learn so much and tour with Dan and friends who we are still friends with actually for around 10 years. Actually, I looked it up. I never knew how much time had happened, really. But so first of all, thanks, Dan, for all the inspiration you've given not only me but other friends who have chosen to make family and children's music, part of their lives, like Elena Moon Park and Father Goose and so many others that I met through you and who are still my friends. And of course, I've been a fan of dance music for a long time, but then seeing how Claudia brought so much joy and just completed your music so beautifully in the last few years has been such a delight to see, to watch, to experience from you. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And there's so many things I want us to talk about. I made some notes of things that I didn't want to forget. But first of all, hi, welcome.
Thank you,
Yay.
Sonia. It is such an honor and
Mhm.
a pleasure to be here with you this evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great to see
Mm.
you, even if it's virtually.
I know we couldn't imagine a better situation that we really do get to catch up this way.
Yeah, it's cool.
And we wanted, and you've been doing so much too. So this is a really good opportunity for us to get up to speed, even though I think we've been following pretty closely all along. But thank you for the nice introduction too. That's really
Yes.
great. And I would say to anybody that you brought much more to the band. You know, you gave more to the band than I think than we ever could have given to you. So we really appreciate what you did for the music when you came in and joined us. And I always feel like I'm the most blessed person to think about that I got to make music with you, Alan Moon Park,
Mm,
Father Goose, Colin Brooks, and Yoshi Wacky around the world. What an unbelievable thing, and to see how all of you are doing now is it's amazing.
yeah, it is cool.
Yes, definitely, and it's so incredible to watch watch each other grow in different parts of music, and how everyone took so much from those years to and has applied it to other parts of their music and their lives. And I feel like, thanks for saying that. I there's people who know us closely know how much I talk about you and those years and everything I learned from you. So it's really an honor to have an opportunity to do it this way. Um, so tell me a little bit to start with. What are you doing with WMI, who brought us here today? What's this series, global music series you are cooking up for or with them?
Well, we're still figuring it out, but it's such a great thing to be to know that they're doing family, getting more, going deeper into family music is really exciting. And so just to be offered the opportunity to curate a series, it gives us a chance to call friends,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Make new friends too. Yeah.
Yeah, we just there's a kora player here, yeah, in Baltimore that we used on some videos that we did for UCLA, and he's Amadou Kouyaté, and he plays kora, and he also plays with his son.
Mhm.
So he may be one of the people that we bring in to help um, illuminate that instrument for people. And going back, I left a message for our old friend Jose Garcia,
Mm-hmm.
today. He seems like
Yes.
someone who would be able to shed great light on the intersection between Puerto Rico and New York City. And so, it's just, we're calling people.
Friends coming back together, getting the band together again.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have a long list of people to call, and you have a way of finding people that can work good together or that could be a part of something and bring so much to it. So I'm sure it's going to be incredible. And yes, I think it's so good that there's a family series starting, WMI. It's much needed, and the music that you both do is, such a joy to listen to, and it's very needed in the world today. All kinds of music, but yours, I think it has it has earned a very special place in our hearts, and so yes, I'm very glad you are making more music. Claudia, you're not only a singer, a jazz singer, you have a background in that, but you have a background in music therapy.
Yes.
And I can only imagine when you met Dan and you saw what he did and you looked at his act on stage and writing songs and everything. I can imagine that you had a ton of ideas at the beginning on how to approach different things, how to talk to the audience, how to
Mm.
present some movements. I've seen you do just wonderful things on stage. So I want us to talk a little bit about those first moments and months of coming together and like trying to create something with your ideas. And how was that?
All right. Well, thank you. Yes. So my background is in music therapy. I'm very passionate about how music serves the individual for our well-being, for enjoyment, all of it. So, I was working in Boston for a number of years, directing a music therapy program out there, and I was, working a lot with individuals with a variety of ability levels. And so when I'd met Dan and just my background in understanding how music can be used as a tool in communication, in self-expression, understanding that people use music in a number of different ways, that there's not like a one way to be or to experience music. So in working with Dan, it was really fun. It was really, his music is so, Dan's music already is so invitational. I feel like there's a great entry point for people to find their way into the music. And so with that, I felt like my background in how do we make it even more accessible. So some of the songs we looked at, we started thinking about how can we incorporate things like either movements, hand body movement. How could we incorporate even American Sign Language in some cases as well? But how do we reach more people? So as folks come to the theater, that no one's really left behind, but everyone can be a part of the musical experience, but that we can also celebrate the ways in which people express. So it was a joy for me, and it was an awesome way for us to brainstorm and also to look at older songs and have, add a new fresh twist. And it's not always just about adding something like that, but looking at a song like Sail Away Ladies, where we would incorporate some of my jazz background too into the folk. And so just kind of doing all kinds of things, because music is, again, no one way. We can create it to express ourselves, our cultural backgrounds, all of the things. And jazz is another thing that I'm passionate about. So I thought that was a wonderful way to introduce the audience to jazz music and to scat singing and to some of the artists that they might not know about. So, and instruments and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it was great, and we still do it to this day. We really think about how can we give something to the audience that there's not one thing. It's not, if you can't sing along, how else could you be engaged in this song?
Right. I have seen you on stage and thinking that I knew how Dan used to play a song or two, like Sail Away Ladies, for example. I played that song with Dan like for years and years. And then just seeing how it transformed, and how you brought so much to it, and the scatting, and I never thought I was gonna see Dan trying to play some like jazz chords. And I mean, it was so refreshing. Last time I saw you play live at Lincoln Center,
Mm.
you did a show there, and I saw all these songs, and then I heard them so differently, and the American Sign Language too. I feel like there's we're gonna talk about accessibility a little bit later, but first, Dan, how was it for you? How was that process for you, like learning all these ideas and trying to incorporate them?
It was, I think when I met Claudia, I was really up for anything. So I think that's, as I'm hearing both of you talk, it really reminds me about this kind of music that we play, this folk music or social music or people's music. It's so flexible.
Mm.
So whoever comes into the situation is allowed to be creative in their own way because the songs are so loose that they can move
There's room.
there's a lot of room for everybody, and that's what I love about it. And even Sonia, when you came into the group and then we're finding places where we can sing this verse in Spanish, or we can begin to do the things with the songs that the songs are, the songs are up for anything. And
Yes.
so but when I met Claudia, I felt like I met the person that I'd been looking for my whole life, and um when we started singing, the day we met, we were singing. And you know how it is when you sing with somebody, I think you're really able to see right to the person's heart.
Yes,
Yeah.
If you're just sitting and having coffee and having a date over pastries or something, it's not the same as if you're
It's
singing
good too, but
songs.
it's not
Yeah. If you can sing and have pastries,
Right.
then that's the best thing.
Yes.
So
Singing and good food.
yes.
Right. And I
So
want to add to that too is like, I think about like, so what Dan's talking about with the Spanish and also in my case, adding the Haitian Creole. And I think about 7-year-old Claudia and how moving that would have been to me as a child to go to a show and to hear people on the stage singing songs that I can relate to, songs that I heard as a child, singing in my language, and also people that look like me on the stage as well. So that's a big piece of it as well.
yeah. And that's
Yeah.
and that's something that I've had the experience with both of you now, where been on stage, and I've seen Latinas, I've seen young Black girls, I've seen people look up at the stage, and and at it's a lot of the time I'm kind of invisible, and I love that because the focus is so much on kids are able to look up there and see themselves. It's a really, really powerful thing to see, and extremely moving.
Yes, yes, I agree, and I think representation really matters. And I know there's a lot of conversations about it um, right now in the world, and I want to get to that. But first, I wanted to ask you if you could play a song. I think our audience is ready for a song, and
We'd love to.
if there's something you want to share with us, this would be a great time to do it.
You want to introduce this one?
Good.
Yeah, is this Let Love Be Your Guide?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this song is a song that we actually wrote in 2020. It's called Let Love Be Your Guide, and we were inspired by Representative John Lewis and thinking about his life, thinking about how he was a shining example about, you don't sit quiet, and silence is violence, and get in good kinds of trouble, and, stand for what you believe in. And so we were really inspired by the op-ed he put out the day that he died.
It was the day of
It
his
published
funeral.
the day of his funeral, the ultimate mic drop, in my opinion. So this came out, and so we were inspired, and we read it, and we were moved to write this piece called Let Love Be Your Guide. And we just feel like it's a great message for us all to live by. Well, there's something I must tell you now. Let love be your guide. The longing of the human heart knows how to let love be your guide.
Well, I stood among you and I knew.
Let love be
your guide. It was clear what you were here to do. Let love be your guide. Be your guide when you're weary. Be your guide when you're unsure. The winds of change are on your side. Let love be your guide.
Well, history tells us this is not new.
Let love be your guide.
Yesterday's lessons still hold true.
Let love be your guide. Where the nightmare it was deep and long. Let love be your guide. The air is troubled with the sweetest song.
Oh,
Let love be your guide. Be your guide when you're weary. Be your guide when you're unsure. The winds of change are on your side. Let love be your guide.
Well, I may not be with you when the day is done.
Let love be your guide.
But I know you'll be marching till the peace is won.
Let love be your guide. Be your guide when you're weary. Be your guide when you're unsure. The winds of change are on your side. Let love be your guide. Be your guide when you're weary. Be your guide when you're unsure. The winds of change are on your side. Let love be your guide.
Woohoo!
All right.
Bravo! I muted myself so I could sing along. I don't know if you
Awesome.
noticed. Because I knew I was going to ruin it if I didn't mute myself. That was beautiful. And I know you've been writing a lot of songs, and I got to hear some of them during your social isolation song series that I want to talk to you about just a little bit later. But I just want to acknowledge some of the questions here in the chat. Thank you for putting up these questions to our audience. We are reading them. Sarah says, I was on stage with you when I was 5. I don't know how old is Sarah now. And but there's a question, and I had it here, and I told our mutual friend Elena Moonpark that I was gonna interview you, and said, what should I ask Dan and Claudia? And as we were talking, one of the questions that she asked, and that Nora here in our audience is asking too, is about transitioning from rock and roll into children's music. Was there a specific time that you remember, Dan, when you came to the realization of, you know what, I think I'm going to switch gears over here. This is what I want to do now. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah. It was, it's funny. I haven't thought about this in such a long time. That's right. I was in a rock and roll band. And what happened was we made a bunch of records, and then I kind of stepped back and took a couple years to try and figure things out. And I made a solo record, and I expected that the world was going to go crazy for this solo record. And it was right around the time that my daughter Anna was born. And nobody cared about the solo record at all. And it was really, God was working in my life. That's really what that was about, because during that time I tried to make music that Anna and I could listen to together. That was really the extension or the updated version of the Folkways records that I grew up with, the Lead Belly, Ella Jenkins, Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, that type of record. I wanted to make the updated version of that that could be a shared experience. And I made a cassette tape for the neighbors. And I realized when people started telling me how much they enjoyed it, I realized that it was my first time ever making music where I felt like a useful member of society, it wasn't an ego trip. It was a different kind of experience. And so I just, I knew very, very quickly that pop music was over and done with, and that this was the new frontier, and I never looked back.
And we're all so thankful that you took that. I mean, Cool Down Time is pretty cool. That's the name of his solo album. I have it here. Actually, I don't know if you see here, but these are all of your albums, Dan. Here, Elena's album is there here too. Father Goose's album is here. But these are all your albums. And then here are other children music albums. So this is my library. And when I
Wow.
met Dan, he handed me like 10 CDs. He
Yeah,
said,
learn these.
here, learn some songs. So they're part of, I consider them part of um, my personal library and my history and part of my story here in this country, because I've learned so much about music, not only folk U.S. American and Americana music, but just music from the world. And I learned it to appreciate that music and actually look more into learning about music from Mexico, inspired by your interest on us, sharing with not only with you but with everyone we would meet, making music with, in other parts of the world too, to bring something from our culture. So I thank you for that, and I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of us who have been inspired by it. I can't continue to talk without acknowledging your newest member of your family.
Yeah.
She constantly
Hi,
upstages us. This is her. This is our newest little addition. Her name is Rezi.
Resi.
And Rezi is named after both of my great grandmothers. Both great grandmothers were named Rezi. So this is her.
She wants everyone to know she's in the band.
That's right.
Resi, welcome. I love her. And yes, puppies.
Hanging out.
Yes, I'm thinking about getting a puppy too, but I don't know. I don't know yet. It's a big commitment. So,
But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. We joined everyone was getting a COVID dog. We thought we should too. We're home. This is the appropriate time to train her, and she's teaching us every day. So it's great.
I'm happy for you.
It's nice every morning when you wake up and there's someone in the house that treats you as if you are the center of the universe, and this is the best day
of
ever.
Their life every day.
That I can get used to that. That sounds pretty cool. So you two are and have been for since I've known you, Dan, and you, Claudia. You have always been talking about things that are important to talk about in the not only in family, children, family music world, but just in the world in general. But something you have taken on in the last years is you have brought up the conversation about creating sensory friendly shows. And I remember, since I used to play music with you, Dan, that you were talking about this, but then a few years ago, you created a show, Night Train 57, not only less than Kennedy Center, you were collaborating with them. And it's so important to have shows like this, and I want you to talk a little bit, whichever of you wants to talk about the process and why is this important, and something you've learned about this process for creating for these audiences.
Okay, well, yes. So we were commissioned back in 2016 by the Kennedy Center, who they pretty much wrote the Bible for sensory friendly and the guidelines and how to execute sensory friendly. And so it was a simple conversation, really. Dan and I were already starting to do sensory friendly shows, and we reached out to them while Dan was wrapping up his Lead Belly Baby record here in DC. And we had coffee with them, and Betty Siegel, she mentioned, she just happened to say, she goes, I don't know if this would be possible, but would you guys ever consider creating a piece for the Kennedy Center. And of course, Dan and I were like, yeah, absolutely, we would consider this. And so the conversation, I think she originally was thinking we would probably just do like a concert because it was open-ended. What would you like to do? But Dan and I really saw this as an opportunity to go a little deeper and to do something that we had never done before. So we created something called Night Train 57, which is America's very first sensory-friendly comic folk opera. And we worked with the experts over at the Kennedy Center, who the names,
Roger
Roger
Edishi from
Edishi.
Temple University.
And so together we worked with a big group of people to create this show, thinking about, again, we created the plot, the idea. Night Train 57 is a train that it's powered by music. So the whole idea was to get the audience engaged. We want to get them singing, we want to get them dancing, but there's something for them to do all throughout the show. And yeah.
It was, and I think the other thing about it was good was that we were able to use it as a way to start a conversation about sensory friendly and why that's so important. And it's been beautiful in the family music circle, as the spirit of generosity and the spirit of progress and inclusion is high, among people in this field. So it's the future, it's the future of performing. It's got to be. It's really a matter of creating conditions so more people feel comfortable in the theater.
Right.
And there's no downside. It's just it's all upside. It's all good. No one, everybody benefits from it, and we're able to all be together in the space. So we got to make a folk opera, but we also got to have this conversation so regularly.
And it's so much more fun for us as performers, I feel, when you look out into the audience and you see it's more representative of the America you live in, the country that you live in. You see folks from all different walks of life enjoying the concert. So yeah, opening the door wider. And I know a lot of people have an understanding of sensory friendly. In my history, again, as a music therapist, I was just finding that there was so much challenge with families, with kids with disability and kids, just the neurodiversity and how families were often split, where one parent is off doing this with one child and the other parent's doing this, but really creating a space where families could feel comfortable. Because that was the thing too, was that oftentimes families didn't feel comfortable bringing their child into a public space like this. The stigma that comes with it, how will my child behave? And oftentimes families really struggle too with the idea of buying a ticket for a show. They don't know how their child's going to be in the next 10 minutes. So how can I say next, 3 Thursdays from now, we're going to go see this show. So really working with presenters and working with folks to just, be a little bit more relaxed with those policies. We worked with, the ushers as well, just being a little bit more lenient on the rules that, again, there's no one way to be in music. If folks want to get up and dance, we encourage all of that. But it was great because we had this designated space too. If folks were overly stimulated and needed a space to go and relax, and they could do that, but they could still be a part of the show and see the show. And yeah, I just feel like sensory friendly, like Dan said, is the way of the future. Everybody wins. The venue wins. You're selling your tickets. Families can be a part of it. You're connecting with your neighbors. It's an awesome opportunity for families to have meaningful dialogue and conversations. And so it's just beautiful. It's really wonderful to see folks just enjoying the music from all different walks of life.
Yes, I agree. I've been part of some sensory friendly shows. I have tried with my band to play some sensory friendly shows in some venues in California. We have coordinated there, and you could really see, from the stage, you could see how the families really feel like they are in a space where they feel safe, and it really changes everything, and it changes the experience not only for us but for the family, for everyone around. It's really, everyone feels like it's a win-win, and I thank you both for bringing up these conversations and for taking it on as part of your mission to also educate other people about this and and really explain that it's not that big of a deal. There's not a lot of change. It's some easy modifications that theaters can do. And if you are, anyone in the audience is more interested about it, Dan and Claudia and their website have a section that says sensory friendly shows, and there's some requirements and guidelines there, so you can read more about it. And I invite you to really to do it.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's probably hard from your side because you're doing the interview, but it would be nice if you played a song. You're talking about your band, and so I think that would be this might be a good spot for that.
Okay. All right. Well, only because you're asking for it, Dan, and I can't say no. All right. So I think I want to play a song. It's the first song I wrote thinking about making music for families, and I wrote it in an instrument called the jarana. And guess who inspired me to learn how to play jarana? Mr. Dan Zanes. So thank you, Dan. I go now everywhere with an instrument like this, telling people that this is traditional guitar from Mexico, and I tell the story. So thanks for that inspiration. Now it's my favorite, and I'm trying to write more songs. But anyway, this is a song about. I wrote it thinking about the little golondrinas, the migrant birds that used to live in a little nest in my grandmother's porch, and that story of the migrant bird really became much more important once I moved to New York. So I'll take my headphones off, but this is La Golondrina.
saberla cuidar. Golondrina, golondrina, espíritu aventurero, eres ave peregrina, amiga de este viajero. Golondrina, golondrina, que vuelas en la ribera, volverás a la marina y hasta la otra primavera.
Beautiful.
All right.
That was great.
That was La Golondrina.
The harmonica sounds so good too.
Yeah.
Like having your own accordion player right there with you.
Yeah, so just yeah, full disclosure, and yes, it's in the style of son jarocho, this song. Yeah, harmonicas are not usually part of that genre. That's just something that's just something I'm learning how to do, and it's just fun. I feel like I'm not alone, and I have an accordion player with me.
So
it's-
Sonia, I gotta ask too, I know you had a video that just came out, right? Fiesta Fiesta?
yes, 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 yes.
Yes, so I don't know if this is a good time either, but maybe we could get a little viewing of.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yes, there were some talks about that. So, sure. So this is a song. This is a very different song. It's in the rhythm of cumbia. Cumbia is a rhythm originally from Colombia, and it's just a song that celebrates life and our journey so far. And I made this music video, really almost all of it with my dad. So my dad was behind the camera on this one in Mexico. And some here in New York too with some friends. So I'm gonna share this video.
All right.
Yeah.
Fiesta, fiesta. Fiesta, fiesta. Fiesta, fiesta. Desde
bravo to your pops behind the camera.
Yeah.
Wow, that was great.
Uh, 1 second here. I'm hearing something else from a video that started after my video. I was like, what? Who's talking?
Zoom line.
Yes, someone's talking. Yes. Thank you very much, very much. There's other things I want to get to before we take a couple of questions. And you did this, you moved to Baltimore, you're living there now, and you made this incredible video series with UCLA called New Beginnings. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I don't know if you want to show a video about it. Let's hear how did that came about. You collaborated with other artists too.
Yeah, we were approached by UCLA, Christy Edmonds, who you know,
Yeah.
out at Royce Hall, and she asked if we would come and be a part of the Tune-In Festival with Kronos Quartet, Toshi Regan, a lot of really, really great people. And then COVID-19 came around, and so Christy wanted UCLA to be at the front of the conversation around how do we work with our artists to make sure that everybody's taken care of in the best possible way. So she gave us the option. So they didn't cancel. They said we're gonna do the festival. We're gonna figure it out. And she called and asked what we wanted to do, and we said we don't want to travel. And so we suggested a series of videos that we would make here in Baltimore as a way to put our new songs out there, but also to show people about Baltimore because it's so great. The city is so great. The artists, the activists, the spiritual leadership. Things are really happening here, and a lot of times the vision of Baltimore from the outside can be very negative because there are a lot of challenges here as well. So we had this opportunity, and so we made 10 black and white videos of songs that we've written over the year and jammed with Baltimore musicians.
And it was totally in alignment of why we moved to Baltimore to begin with. That was really our desire, was to be able to connect and collaborate and be more involved on a community, but on a local community level. And like Dan said, there's just incredible work happening here in Baltimore. And so this song that we're going to share with you is a song, again, that we wrote during our social isolation song series of 2020. And it's called New Beginnings because I think we're all ready for some new beginnings. And we invited a dear friend, Prem Raja Mahat, who is known as the Bob Dylan of Kathmandu, or the Elvis of the Himalayas. Is that right? So we're going to share that video with you. And my goodness, he's just such a beautiful spirit, a beautiful human being, incredible instrumentalist. And just, you'll see it in the video. This was all recorded at his house in his backyard. Who has a backyard looking like this? Prem Raja Mahat. So we're
Can't wait.
And also you should know that we went to rehearse 2 times, and then we went to film and record with them the 3rd time. But each time we went for a visit, the afternoon would start with a huge meal of home cooked Nepali food.
Right.
So that was the beginning.
Yeah.
That was the starting
Rico.
point.
Right. All right.
That's beautiful.
Is this what I click here?
Yeah. You click that, and then we'll go to this. Okay. All right.
Full screen?
Yeah.
Where's that? Hold on.
Oh, there. I think we should do that next time. talking about new beginnings, new beginnings, new beginnings. Everybody's talking about new beginnings. Don't you wanna go? Don't you wanna go? Don't you wanna go? Everybody talking about new beginnings.
Yes, perfect for new beginnings. That's beautiful. I love that. I love everything about it, and it seems like a wonderful series to be to put together. How fun! And I'm sure you made a lot of new friends.
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge thank you to all of our participants. Thanks, Nora, saying nice things. Mark saying the sensory friendly shows have been great for Harrison and our entire family. So we
Yes.
know that this is something that's obviously good for a lot of people. So thank you. Thanks for that. I have so many other questions I have for you. We don't have much time.
We're just scratching the surface. We have so
Yes.
much catching up to do.
Is it okay if we go over just by a little bit? You know, you did the social isolation song series, and I think a lot of people saw that you played. Was it 200 days?
Yes.
200 days, and I don't think you knew it was going to be that long, right? You thought it was
Who
just
knew,
a few
right, Sonia?
days.
We all thought this pandemic
But-
would be like a month long. We
Yes.
thought we have 31 songs in up our sleeve. We could do that. But then it just, kept going, and it just felt like this is where we were called to be at this point in time. And so every day we showed up with a new song to share. And sometimes we found that there wasn't the right song out there to sing, so we had to go ahead and write it. It challenged us in a way too to create new material as well.
I'm sure some days you had a lot of ideas, and some days we were like, "What do we do? Oh
Yeah.
no!"
Yeah.
But we knew that by the end of the day we'd have something,
Mhm.
whatever it was.
Yes.
Once we started with either with a new song that we were writing or a song we were trying to figure out, we knew that we'd have to see it through because we were committed.
Yes.
Yes, and you're great song leaders, and you're great inspirers for other people to play instruments. Someone's here saying, Jenny saying, I have been on stage with you, and you have inspired me to play instruments. And something also that I don't want to forget to mention it, that you've done together is this wonderful book. If you don't have it, go get it, order it. It's the House Party book. It's songs that Dan has played for a while. Claudia did all the music notation, and it has beautiful illustrations by Donald Saff with wonderful stories. I have an autographed copy. I don't want to brag, but
You earned it too. You helped us out.
but it's a wonderful book, and it's really nice to have something like this. And Claudia, you started a soap business a couple of years ago, and good timing. People need soap right now. You're home. It's good to have another source of income that's not performing, traveling.
Yep. We
And-
all gotta wash our hands.
We all gotta wash our hands a lot. And I read something that I love, that you said that soap making is very much like music making.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, because I believe, music making is you're exposing your soul. You're speaking to experiences, you're sharing something that's personal, that's vulnerable in some instances. And I feel like there's a lot of tremendous creativity, of course, right, that comes in music making. And so is true with soap making. I didn't know this years ago. I think growing up, I was raised in a household where you just used Dove or Ivory or whatever was on sale that week. But the more I started to learn and started understanding, soap is what you put on your body is just as important as what you put in your body. And so, I think soap making, it's for me, it's therapeutic. It allows me to be in my zone and to kind of visualize what I want to create. I do a lot of artisan soaps that have themes to them. So I use great and natural, high quality ingredients, but also use things that create images and artistry, if you will, to make it interesting, because I believe that everyone should be able to bathe in dignity and create bars that are inspiring. So I want to show you some of my stuff here, Sonia.
Yes.
So they're all different, different kinds of inspiration. Here's one that I do that's like my cookies and milk bar, and it's all soap except for this paper straw. But so these are the things I spend time thinking about. How can I create this? How can I put this in a soap? And this is inspired by one of my favorite mountains back home in Northern California. So my family's from the island of Haiti, but we relocated to California back in the late 90s. And so this is my favorite mountain in Northern California, Mount Tamalpais. So since I can't be there, I put it in a soap. And I do all kinds of just different natural, awesome bars that are good for your skin. It just gives me time to, again, think about ingredients that I'm putting on my body. Every bar has Haitian oil called Huile Masqueti, which is pretty much our liquid gold. We use it for wellness. We use it when someone's not feeling well. You rub it on your chest. We use it. I have it in my hair right now, and I use it in my soaps as well. So also incorporating my culture into the bars is really important to me. But again, I just think growing up, I just didn't know the importance of what I'm putting on my body. So I spend a lot of time too, especially speaking to the Black community about what are we putting on our skin? How do we care for our skin? Because that's stuff that I just didn't receive when I was young. So yeah, so Cleo Soaps is my soap company, all handmade, small batch, artisan soaps, handmade with soul.
CleoSoaps.com.
Yeah.
CleoSoaps.com. And I have tried them, and I have given them as gifts too, and they are wonderful. I love them. So I'm so happy for you that you have that. And I'm sure I can smell you, but I am pretty sure you smell. I'm sure Resi also smells really good.
Oh yeah.
I always like to tell people that I'm the best smelling white guy in Baltimore.
Yes. I am sure. And you both grew up in New Hampshire.
We
right?
did. Yeah.
And now that you've had time to compare notes about growing up in New Hampshire, how different was your experience growing up in New Hampshire, or how similar was it?
I'd say pretty different. Right?
All kinds of things were, the only thing that wasn't different was New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's
Territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Two decades
Very
of
different.
2 decades of time and progress.
Dan didn't even know there were Haitians in Manchester, New Hampshire.
No, I really
No.
didn't. I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. No, I mean, I'm from a WASP family. The difference between a WASP family and a Haitian family is, that's the difference between.
I mean, it is shocking when you think about it. I always ask my parents, I'm like, y'all are island people. How did you land in New Hampshire? And, but what it is oftentimes when one family member comes, everybody looks to that one person they don't know. They just say, okay, that looks like that's the place to go. So my aunt was the first one to come here. So then the rest of the family, and then everyone started moving to New Hampshire. And then they realized like 15, 16 years in that this is too cold, and they made it to California.
On the day that I met Claudia, we're having a great time. We're singing, we're eating, we're really hitting it off. And then I said, so, where'd you grow up? And she said, New Hampshire. I said, what?
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. But I didn't even know. I always joke, I talk about how I didn't even know I was in America until I started going to school when I was in elementary school, because in my household, Haitian Creole was spoken. We had a Haitian community. People were always at the house. And it wasn't until I went to school, and that's when I was really speaking English. We didn't speak a whole lot of English in the house.
Well, I couldn't believe it. You're like, she's from New Hampshire too. Wow, this is so good. And just it was the perfect segue. I just wanted to ask you one last thing. And the world's changing. There's many things happening in the world, and I think one of the most important conversations right now is it's about diversity and inclusion, and it's sure to be happening in family music and children's music. And I know, Dan, because I've known you for a long time, that you have been talking about this since I've met you at least, but I know you had been talking about this for many years before. And so I just wanted to get a couple of words from you about the conversations that are happening and how you are seeing this progress.
I mean, it is it does look like progress. I guess I'll take the opportunity to just invite any of our white listeners to come join us in an organization that was started in Brooklyn about 10 years ago called Constructive White Conversations, and it's an entry point for white people that aren't talking regularly about race and racism and white supremacy and anti-racism, and it's kind of based on the belief that we need each other as white people. We need each other. We need to develop a positive white anti-racist identity, and that can really only be done effectively in community, in order to go out into the world and be useful in the larger struggle that we're having now. So constructivewhiteconversations.org, it's a growing white anti-racist community. And so just to see the awareness from white people has been the awareness and the desire to become more involved, outside of reading an article, reading a book, or just saying, I'm a good person, so this isn't my problem. There's just, we all as white people, we have a role to play, and we have a responsibility to work with each other to get it together, and be useful, be part of the solution here. So I could go on.
No, that's perfect. And I wanted to thank you because I know, hi Gabby, a lot of us look up to you, Dan and Claudia, and what you do, and it's very important to talk about this. So thank you for sharing that. That's it from me.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Sonia. This is such a
great.
treat.
So good to catch up.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is a true World Music Institute Zoom call here. We've traveled all over the world thanks to you and your great presentation and conversation, and touched on so many interesting topics aside from how music has this power to bring us all together and to make us all realize how much we have in common, and to celebrate those differences while also celebrating at the same time our shared humanity. And that just oozed out of this session today, and I want to thank you so much for that. We will include all of the links, of course, in tomorrow's email, and I'm definitely gonna go onto the SOAP site.
Yes.
And want to thank you all again. Thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you will join us again for another session, and we cannot wait to be presenting the entire series of Dan and Claudia Go Global, which will feature all of these concerts then through World Music Institute. Thanks again, Dan, Claudia, Sonia, you've been fantastic. And thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you hopefully soon again. And hopefully we'll all be able to hug each other at some point. Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Gabby.
you all.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Dan and Claudia.
Be well,
Thank
stay
you,
healthy,
Sonia.
stay well, everyone. Thank you.